Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Beyond the Bank Account. I'm Shara Prophet, your host, and I am the founder of the Be Magic School and the creator of the Sovereign Millionaire. So, welcome to those of you who are here live in the Zoom chat with me, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook people. Go ahead and take this time now to share this video, tag your friends, family, anybody else that you think would be interested or might find some benefit in what we're going to be discussing today. Okay, so as you guys come into the room, please feel free to say hello, um, give, thumbs up, shares, and all that good stuff. All right. So we're just going to dive straight into this today. I don't want to hold you all too long. I hope that you are having a fabulous Wednesday so far. So today we're going to be touching on another sensitive topic, right? Last week we touched on some touchy things, right? But we need to do this in order to help ourselves identify any potential. Hold on one second, y'all. There we go. To help us identify any potential, I hope that sounds better. Help us identify any potential setbacks, right? Any potential blockages that we might be experiencing for those of you who have reached certain levels in your business, in your success. Some of you have hit your financial goals already, or you're working towards it. And sometimes when we are expanding outside of ourselves and we're doing things that are not status quo, right? We're doing things that our families didn't do. We're doing things that the people around us are not doing or have not accomplished, or they started doing it and it got too hard and they backed off of it and they decided not to anymore, right? We understand that when we decide to walk this path, walk this journey of doing something that requires you to step outside of the norm and take the path that is not usually taken, right? That you're surrounded by people who don't necessarily understand your journey. They don't necessarily understand the things that you're going through, especially if you are an entrepreneur. As entrepreneurs, we say yes to evolution. We say yes to ascension, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Because in order for you to reach certain heights, you have to let go of certain behavior patterns, belief systems, attitudes, the way you see the world around you, the way you see yourself. This is like you get thrusted into transformation when you are pursuing things that are outside of what is considered to be normal. So, this series is to help those of you who are in this category, even if you have not reached your financial goals, right? Even if you haven't hit that pinnacle of success, whatever that is for you, if you are on the road to creating something that stands out, that is different from the norm, you are going to understand the things that I'm saying out of my mouth, the things that I'm going to be talking about in this series. So today we're going to talk about family, money, and the hidden agreements that we make out of loyalty to where we come from. Now, I posted on here on Facebook earlier, I asked a question. Have you ever felt guilty for making more money than your family and your friends? Or felt guilty for taking the road less traveled, right? Everybody else has a 9 to 5. And let me tell you something, ain't nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. This is not about, diminishing anyone's choices or decisions. But I am speaking directly to people who have decided to take another track. So if you've ever felt guilty that you've decided to take another track, so your track is very different from everybody in your family. Your track is different from your friend group. Your track is different from your neighbors and people that you go to church with and any other surrounding environment that you might be in. But maybe you have felt guilty because you didn't have the time to spend with them like you used to. You felt guilty because you hit a lick and now you're making, high six figures and above. Some of you are making millions of dollars a year. Some of you are close to hitting that billion-dollar mark, okay? If you were born into a family that is, middle class or working class, and some of you were born into poverty, okay? When you take this track, something does come up inside of you, especially when you start hitting those milestones, especially when you start getting more recognition and notoriety, you start receiving more money, more financial abundance, right? Something happens. There's this little thing, this little quiet, like voice in the back of your head that you may not even be consciously aware of. Okay. And it might bring on this sense of, oh, I don't want to mention that I just made this really amazing deal and I got a check for $350,000. I don't want to mention that to certain friends, certain family members. I don't want to talk about the promotion that I just got at work. I am now VP, of the company, or VP in my department, and I got a substantial raise. I don't want to talk about the fact that I just created this amazing thing and I know that it's about to reach higher heights that I've never even seen before. So if you've ever felt like you needed to keep things to yourself out of guilt, okay, out of fear of appearing boastful or appearing as though you're too much or you're leaving people behind, then this is something that you want to tune into and you want to share this with others in your life who you feel might have experienced this or might be experiencing this. Okay. Especially when we're looking at our parents, right? Our parents, some of our parents were, middle class, working class. Some even had to really, really get it up out of the mud. And now they've done such amazing things for you to position you to where you don't have to go through those same struggles, okay? And most of the time, you'll find that your immediate family and friends, those who are really close to you and really, really love you, you will find that they're always rooting for you and very happy for you. However, it does not override that internal thing that you might be feeling, right? Because the thing about guilt, shame, all of that stuff, all of that comes from something within. It comes from a narrative and a story that we have told ourselves about our success, what success means, what wealth means, what money means to us, and how we use money and how we work with money. Those are all personal narratives. And I could sit here all day long and give you each and every narrative, but you know your narrative. You know your narrative. And if you don't know your narrative, I will be releasing my Sovereign Wealth Archetype ebook and quiz very, very soon, probably within the next week or so that you can find out what your unique wealth archetype is. And all that's going to do is show you how you view wealth and how you view yourself and what the root causes of those things are. So stay tuned for that, all right? So, we want to unpack today something called ancestral loyalty. Ancestral loyalty. Okay. Because we do need to talk about the stuff that most people are not talking about. Some people think that, oh, I made it, or that person has made it. They don't have any problems. Ain't nothing wrong with them. They're still a human being. You're still a person. You're still human. And guess what? You still have internal narratives. You have subconscious programs. You have programs that are working for you on your behalf and edifies you and benefits you in positive ways. And you also have programs that do the opposite. You have programs that are holding you back from your next level, your next step, whether that be in business, finances, in your personal relationships, how you see yourself, your spiritual journey. We all have something. We all have something. If you are still breathing air, I guarantee you, you have not dealt with every single obstacle within your life here on planet Earth at this time. We are all dealing with some form of resistance, some form of an obstacle, some form of thing that's happening in our lifetime right now, okay, that holds us back from the next level, okay? Sorry, y'all. Hold on one second. I just want to make sure people are able to get in and see what they need to see. All right, awesome. So we're going to talk about ancestral loyalty and how it might be sabotaging your next steps, your next level, whether that's in finances, whether that's in, your business, you really jumping out there and finally writing that book that you've been wanting to write. Maybe for some of you, you walking away from a really stable and secure employment because you're ready to start a business, okay? But we need to discuss how this is one of the most sneakiest money blocks because it hides under the guise of love and connection. Very, very, very important. All right. So if this is hitting home for you all, then please go ahead and feel free to put comments in let me see, can I see the comments right now? Hold on. Y'all know I'm still working with this new, yeah, I can't see it right now. Well, you know what? Leave some comments and then I will come back and answer them later. I'm still working through it, y'all. Just stick with me. Stick with me. Work with me, okay? I'm gonna figure it out. But I did get here today. I got here on time. Yay! All right. So, all right, let's talk about the guilt of surpassing your roots. All right. So, like I said, a lot of us were raised to value family and humility, sacrifice, okay? Family over personal ambition. It's a lot how a lot of us were raised, okay? And if you grew up in working class or struggling household, then there's this unspoken understanding that we're all in this together. And so when you start breaking that pattern, remember, whenever you start to break a pattern, it shakes up your unit, your family unit, okay? It shakes up the familiarity that you are used to. And it does wreak a little bit of havoc, for some people, big havoc in your environment with the people around you, especially when you rise financially. There can be that feeling of guilt. And it can feel like you're abandoning the people around you or you're betraying where you came from because you are rising. And sometimes you'll downplay your success, you'll hide your income, you will have a tendency to spend recklessly just to stay the same so that you can stay on the same level as the people around you. Sometimes you might even find yourself, kind of down talking somebody else that's very wealthy or down talking somebody else's success just to fit in. And you might be saying to yourself, why am I saying this? Why I don't think like that. Why am I doing that? Because you're trying to maintain the equilibrium within your family unit. And this is not because you're not grateful. This is not because you don't understand your purpose and why you're doing things. This is a nervous system situation, okay? Your nervous system associates abundance with loss, loss of belonging, loss of identity, and loss of approval from the people around you in your immediate circle. So that's why you find that you have this tendency to kind of downplay yourself and start, you know, having conversations with people that take you out of alignment with what you know to be true for you and what you know I need to stay in alignment so I continue to ascend. Staying in alignment with my goals, with my truth, with my honest, true belief. Okay. It's just these little things that can give you the information that you need to say, oh, let me stop. Let me pull myself back. Why am I doing that? Okay. And it's more than just drawing awareness, because a lot of people are like, oh, I just need to draw awareness and then I need to distract myself and I need to do something else. That is a way to do things. I was just having this conversation with a friend the other day, how we have a tendency to bypass, right? We spiritually bypass the things that we really need to take a deeper look at and start doing some true energetic adjustment around because we decide to distract ourselves. That thing comes up and we're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Let me turn around and do something different. This is something that most coaches will tell people to do without going in and doing the energetic adjustment that needs to take place in order to remove that behavior altogether. All right. So this is what most people do. Most people will tell you just when that thing comes up, when that thought comes up, just go ahead and shift your perspective and switch it out and do something different. Do make a healthier choice. And that's beautiful and it works, but it's temporary. Okay. So it's deeper than that. That's what I call spiritual bypassing, distraction, distracting yourself from something else that you used to do or ruminating thought or behavior. That's a distraction, but it is not the solution. It's not you curing the behavior. It's not you actually changing anything. Because what happens if you are not, something happens and you're not aware that you're falling back into that behavior pattern again? You keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And the next thing you know, you're right back where you started from, right? So you do need to eventually do deeper work to clear that out. A lot of people mistake distraction and journaling for healing. That's different. I'm going to talk about that in another segment, but I just wanted to bring that to your awareness, okay? So now let's talk about the invisible contracts that we make with our families and our friends. We all have this invisible contract that we have made with people in our lives, even the ones that we have made with ourselves, and we're not aware of it. These are unspoken agreements that are passed down through generation, even in friend groups, right? Especially if you've had long-term friends that you've had since you were yay high, you all have contracts with each other. Some of them you've verbally agreed to. Some of y'all have made blood contracts and blood pacts with your besties when you were little kids, remember? Okay? Some of you all did that. So you have to really tap into this stuff to pay attention. Like, why do I keep agreeing to certain things? Why do I keep performing and behaving in a certain way when I get around these people? It's because you have those unspoken, invisible contracts. Now, when we're talking about family and really close friends that are like family in regard to this particular conversation today, which is around your money and your success, some of those agreements, right, are that we don't talk about money. We don't talk about money. We do not outshine each other. Okay? Stay small. We take care of everyone before we take care of ourselves. Okay? You gotta make sure everybody else is good first. You need Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. We survive. We just getting by. We survive. It's a struggle, right? We're surviving, but we do not thrive. Okay. So when you start to challenge these contracts, it can start to create some tension and even some conflict within your family and your friendship groups. Okay. Like I said before, whenever you start to change a pattern, you shake up a foundation within. And since everything starts from within, sorry, my chair just be sinking down by itself, Chad. Since everything starts from within, right? When we start to shake that foundation up, we begin to see it out picturing in the 3D world. So this may mean there may be some arguments that come up between you and your friends or you and your family members, right? You guys aren't seeing eye to eye anymore. I know some people that have said, my mother hasn't spoken to me in 2 or 3 years because of my ascension or because I'm moving forward or because I'm elevating in my consciousness. Okay. So the truth is that you did not come here to repeat the same story over and over again. You came here to write a new story. So you do have to rewrite contracts. You have to destroy contracts, rewrite them. You have to change tracks and jump on a new timeline. You do not have to stay stuck in the original agreement that we are all doing this together. We don't stray away from the pack. Okay? We have to stay this way. We have to do it one way. That is the way. That is the tradition. Now, I'm not telling you to go in and start like breaking up like family traditions and stuff like that. This is what I'm saying is if it doesn't work for you, if you find that it is making you, there's this like push pull inside of you, okay? You're struggling to stick with the family tradition and the friendship group and saying, well, this is how we always did it. Why are you being different now? Why are you acting weird now? Right? But you feel the allegiance to yourself, right? The allegiance to yourself and you honoring yourself and you're honoring the higher version of you that is saying, go this way. I'm telling you to go this way for a reason. But then you're still feeling pulled and tugged and maybe even ridiculed by your unit. When I say unit, I am talking about your family structure, your friendship groups that mean a lot to you. I ain't talking about people that you could care less about. I'm talking about the ones that mean a lot to you. Okay? So when you feel yourself having that push pull and that tug of war within, that is how you know I got to break this contract. And there are ways to do it without shattering your family. And then there's sometimes it's just it doesn't matter. You're going to shatter it, right? It's just, but you have to stand true, 10 toes down in what it is that you are being led to do. You're going to have to do that. Okay. When we are breaking the loyalty bind, that doesn't mean that you stop loving your family. It doesn't mean that you stop loving your friends. It doesn't even mean that you stop coming around them. See, we have to learn how to stand in our truth and be who we are while still being able to be around our family and friends. And if they don't want you there, that's fine. You need to learn how to practice divine detachment. That's another conversation we're going to have. I've talked about divine detachment for years. Okay. But we will have another conversation about that as it relates to you being a high achiever, high earning individual, learning to break away from old patterns and belief systems that are holding you back, that are keeping you from the next level. We're going to discuss that, okay? So it doesn't mean that you stop loving your people. It doesn't mean that you stop showing up for them unless it's harmful for you. If you being around and you showing up is harmful to you because they don't understand or because they're taking advantage of you, then it is time for you to release yourself, okay? Because you can love people from a distance. You can hold them in the highest from a distance, okay? You don't have to continue to be around them. That is the practice of unconditional love. Unconditional love is when I can still love you unconditionally, meaning nothing you do is going to make me stop loving you. But there are things that you can do that will make me stop being in your presence. There are things that you can do to make me stop being present for you. It's a difference. It means that you release the belief that you have to shrink yourself to be accepted, that you have to agree to things that are not in alignment with who you are right now today and who you are growing into being. It means that you can still honor your roots without being rooted in an illusion. And you don't have to down talk anybody about that either. You don't have to say, well, y'all dumb for believing this. That's stupid. I'm over here doing bigger, better things. You don't have to do that either. Just be who you are authentically. Stay on your path. Stay true to who you are. Honor yourself. Okay. And let people live and let them do what they do. Just let them live and let them do what they do. Because everybody's journey is different. Everybody's in a different place in their lives. You do not know what is happening internally with anyone. No one on this planet, I don't care how close you are to a person, you do not know everything about that person, and they do not know everything about you. So let's get that straight. You have to give people the room and the space to breathe and to be who they are, regardless of whether or not you agree with it. It doesn't matter. If it is causing you harm, separate yourself. Period. Okay? You are allowed to exceed the ceiling of your ancestors. Okay? You are allowed to exceed the ceiling, the limitations of your ancestors. And let me tell you something. Most of the time, they want you to. They want you to. Not all of them, but most of the time they do. Okay? In fact, you are the proof that their sacrifices were not in vain. The fact that you are here, the fact that you're thinking outside of the box, the fact that you have said, I'm going to do this instead of that. I know people want me to do this, or it's expected for me to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm going to do this instead. It might be a longer, harder road. It may take me longer. People over here might have, reached their success and hit their goals 20 years before I did. But I'm still going to go this way. Okay. Your abundance is your own legacy. It is your divine right to decide and choose how you are going to create abundance in your life, how you're going to write your own story. That's up to you. That's nobody else's choice. That's up to you. Okay. So here's some homework for you guys. All right. I would like for you to start releasing the guilt. If this is your story, if you're feeling like this is hitting home, I want you to do these exercises, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to acknowledge the contract. Speak it out loud and speak the unspoken rule that you have agreed to within your family or your friend group, okay? Even in your romantic partnership. All right. If you have a long-term spouse, there are unwritten agreements, unspoken rules that you have agreed to. So I want you to speak it out loud. All right. Write it down. The next thing you're going to do is think it. Recognize that it was created to protect the family or your friendship or your partnership at a certain time. Then I want you to rewrite it. You're going to create a new statement that affirms your right to thrive and still belong. Okay, I'm going to say that again. You're going to create a new statement that affirms your right to thrive and still belong, because that's huge. That's huge. That is the thing. That's the thing. That's all I'm going to say. That is the thing. And practice new conversations. That's the next one. Okay, so this is a four-part homework assignment. And number four is practice new conversations. Share your wins without apologies, without disclaimers. Say what you want to experience without putting a disclaimer on it. I have a lot of clients who are doing really big, amazing things. And they are building amazing things. And one of the things, and this is mainly, in my private clients and in some of the, and in my mastermind group, one of the things that I remind them of when I'm encouraging them to speak out loud the thing that they are materializing, the thing that they are building, sometimes, someone will say, "Oh, it's not about the money. It's about me making an impact, right? It's not that I'm not doing it just for the money. I'm just trying to make an impact." And this is what I say to them: stop putting disclaimers on your desire. You're saying, but, but. But that means that there's a little bit of guilt in there about your desire, about what drives you, about your dream. There is nothing wrong with doing something for money, as long as you are not hurting people, right? As long as you're not hurting people, as long as you're not hurting yourself, as long as you're not taking away from someone, there's nothing wrong with doing things for money. It's nothing wrong with you wanting to do things that are going to elevate you and take you to that next level of success in your career, in your business, at your place of work. There's nothing wrong with that. We have to stop putting disclaimers on the things that we are building, because nine times out of 10, that is what slows you down. You take yourself out of the running. I make an impact and I am a multimillionaire while doing it, because I deserve to be fully compensated for the energy, the time, and the love that I put into every project that I am a part of. That is what you're going to do. You're going to rewrite that. Okay? So stop apologizing about your wins. Share your wins. Do not apologize. Okay? And allow those who can to celebrate with you. And then allow them to share their wins. High five each other. Even if you haven't done it yet, even if you haven't hit that particular win yet, speak it as if you've already done it and do it with somebody else so that they can touch and agree with you. We just did that in our revival in the Mystical Money Mastermind last weekend, and it was amazing. Because when two or more come together and agree on something, guess what? The energy is amplified. Okay? The energy is amplified. And remember, this stuff that we're breathing in, this is substance. This is the substance that creates all things and coagulates and materializes that which you speak into it. And it creates the reality that you want to see. So be mindful of your words. Okay? All right. So I hope that this has been helpful for you all today. And if you are ready to continue learning more about how to utilize energy, your words, and how to shift and transform your perspective and your programming, your deep programming around how you view yourself and your life and your success and your money, then I encourage you to go ahead and get on my mailing list, okay? Because you're going to be the one of the first people to know when the Sovereign Wealth Archetype ebook and quiz is ready, y'all. This is a really amazing tool that you're going to be able to keep for a long time, and it's is packed with different exercises and things like that that you can do to assist you in moving up and out of an old program that is keeping you held back or that is sabotaging the success and the money that you've already made. Okay. Now, for those of you who are still interested in participating in the Sovereign Millionaire Activation beta test, I do still have some slots open. So if you're interested in learning more about that, then there will be a link after this video is uploaded. Come back. There will be a link there where you can schedule a free call with me and we can decide whether or not that's going to be a good fit for you. Okay. So I appreciate you all's time and energy today. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to tune in next week on Wednesday at 1 p.m., same place, same time. And make sure that you share this video, you give it a like, leave some comments. I will be back later on to read through the comments and answer any questions you guys might have. And if you want to ask a personal question or you need a little bit more guidance, then feel free to just go ahead and hit me up in the Facebook Messenger, or you can email me info@bmagicschool.org. All right, y'all. Love you to death. Love you to life, not death. Love you to life. I hope that this has been helpful for you and that you will tune in next time. Bye.